A hero. That's what you once were.
Well, time to go back to that then, because a good redemption story is always something to enjoy. Someone who has gone down a dark path looking for a way to the light. These individuals are literally described as tragic heroes, and many of them have become fan favorites. There are many fictional characters who have been there, some better than others. Darth Revan, Cecil Harvey, John Marston, and of course, Mario! But one individual showed up on my radar quite recently, being part of the Soulcalibur series. Personally, I have no history with this franchise, as the 4th installment was just purchased for its character creator, but now that I am more interested in the fighter genre, excitement is the word to describe the feelings for the upcoming 6th entry. Though I wanted to know a bit more about these playable characters, and that's how I found him. A warrior whose determination encompasses what it means to want to become a better person, restlessly fighting on to achieve one's goal, no matter what. This fighter is Siegfried Schtauffen. In the mid-16th century, in the Kingdom of Germany, during this period a part of the Holy Roman Empire, a hero amongst the German revolting peasants, the gentle knight Friedrich Schtauffen, met a woman named Margaret during one of his campaigns. Love bloomed on the battlefield, and in 1568, a son was born, named after the old legendary hero, Siegfried. Together, they enjoyed their peace. Margaret had a loving husband and a kind son. Frederick trained the young boy in the art of the blade, and Siegfried was happy to be able to live a peaceful life as a happy family. Though happiness can only last so long, as after a bit over a decade went by, the knight had to leave his wife and son for a short period of time, promising them that he would return as he was called to arms for a new crusade. In the name of God! In the name of God! But without a father figure to lead him in the right direction, just like real life, the environment someone lives in can change you significantly. Remember, during this time the German peasants revolted against the empire, which means that there were plenty of individuals with less than honorable personalities to be met, and this is what happened to Siegfried. Gaining friends who were part of a group of thieves, they tried to enlist him into their little guild, which makes sense considering who his father was, and they succeeded. Now, we do not have any knowledge on what sort of missions he took part in during this period, but what we do know is that eventually he took some of his friends from the gang and made his own band of nationalistic misfits, Schwarzwind. Together, they did everything they could to increase their fame and power, all under the banner of Germany. One day, however, they heard that a group of crusaders had deserted from battle, from their duty. So, believing that these cravens and cowards were unfit to have whatever gear they might hold, Siegfried and his team devised a plan to ambush these traitors to take their valuable loot. And as they found them during the night, seeing that these soldiers were exhausted from whatever fight they'd been running from, they struck the tired warriors, easily defeating them. And during this tussle, our hero saw the commander, who stood steadfast against Schwarzwind, and decided to personally deal with him. With great strength, he decapitated the figure, then raising the head up into the sky with a mighty roar of victory! But as he held his trophy towards the sky, the moon shone its light down, and Siegfried saw what he truly held in his bloodied right hand. The head of the gentle knight, the head of his father.
Jesus Christ!
Terrified and shocked beyond belief, he ran into the forest, leaving his friends behind. Walking around in the dark, our young hero was emotionally broken. But not only that, as his mind had shattered as well. He couldn't kill his own father. Frederick was a mighty revered hero. Siegfried could only come to one conclusion. His father's murderer was still out there, powerful beyond belief. Yes, our protagonist went so mad that he convinced himself that he didn't kill his own flesh and blood. So he went on a quest to find the one responsible. And it did not take long before he heard rumors of a blade with unimaginable powers. So much in fact that it could be what had defeated his dad. And so he went on a journey to find this weapon, to find Soul Edge. The 16-year-old truly went far to get his revenge, going to Ostrensburg Castle, believing that the knight there, Sir Stefan, was the wielder of the rumored blade, and during a siege, Sigurd took the opportunity and murdered the fair lord. But the moment the realization hit that he was wrong, frustration is what built up within the mentally broken boy, not guilt. During the first installment of the franchise, the son of Frederick is shown to be extremely arrogant and overconfident,
I never had such an easy victory.
clearly oblivious to the horrors that he had committed to others, only to begin the true nightmare, as he finally found what he was looking for in Spain.
Spanish love song.
Pierced to the ground next to a dead pirate who had just had his ass kicked by Sophithi and Sataki, Siegfried walked towards the pulsating sword only to make the corpse combust into flames, having the boy defeat this unknown apparition, and then take the blade that had caused him these sleepless nights. Only for everything to go wrong, as when he grabbed a hold of the hilt, a pillar of light shot up into the sky, changing the world in many negative ways. The evil seed, this event was called, but something planted itself into our hero as well. Changing his arm into something monstrous, the teenager heard a voice coming from the dark blade, promising him that if he restored the sword's full power by collecting souls, it would have the ability to resurrect his father, and he agreed, starting off an age of unspeakable terror, while he himself turned into the greatest danger that Europe has ever encountered, the Azure Knight Nightmare. Wait a minute. Main character with long blonde hair kills his own father, finds a sword that corrupts him, seeking souls, wears a dark armor and becomes the bane of humanity's existence? Well, now I know where they got that idea from.
Oh my god!
3 years went by, and during this period, the Dark Knight gathered some followers during his quest for souls. Ian Kalkos, the Lizard Man, Astaroth, the Golem, and Isabella Valentine, the Alchemist. Nightmare named this group Schwarzstrom, Black Storm, showing us that the being under the dark helmet is a corrupted Siegfried and not Soul Edge in full control. Together, they wreak havoc onto the world. Death and pain was the recipe for the rejuvenation ritual of the Unholy Blade, and Europe knew that the darkness had just begun. Eventually, they had the souls they needed to complete the ceremony, and the leader of Schwarzstrom decided that they would do it where the son of Frederick showed his lack of guilt and compassion. Ostrheinsburg Castle. But before he could complete the ritual, he was confronted by two young champions, Kilik and Changhua. Both of them equipped with holy weapons, they attacked the being that has caused such suffering to the world. But then, in the middle of their battle, the young girl's blade reacted when it came into contact with Soul Edge, and to everyone's surprise, not only did she have a holy weapon, it was actually an even holier weapon. The one destined to destroy the Dark Cleaver, Soulcalibur. And with its strength, Changhua actually damaged the unholy weapon, shattering some pieces off. Waking up in a forest outside the castle, where once his mind broke, the weakened red sword had lost some of its hold over Siegfried, allowing him to realize what he had not only done during the 3 years of soul hunting, but also understand that he indeed was the one who murdered his own father. Accepting it as truth, he finally knew that Soul Edge had only given him lies and illusions of Frederick's resurrection. Yet, even now, when his mind was his own, the right arm being evidence of the monster still hiding within, the 19-year-old went into exile. Even when his heart ached towards his home where his mother waited, he couldn't allow any more people to die by his hand. But this was not as simple as one would think, as every time he woke up after the night, he saw bodies lie around him, slaughtered by what arrived when he was sleeping. A living nightmare.
Nice hearing from you, Carlos.
New plan! Siegfried decided on never sleeping again. But no matter the amount of coffee being entered into the system, he always dozed off. And just 4 years later, his mind was trapped yet again, and the Azure Knight loomed over Europe once more. This time, however, in search of the broken pieces of the demonic blade. As if it was clockwork, Nightmare ended his journey in Sir Stephan's castle. I guess he really enjoys the view. As he entered the fort, he was confronted by a challenger who was already waiting for him. A Frenchman!
Oui, est devenu complètement ridicule!
Clashing swords, the knight proved superior to the son of the baguettes. But before the towering monster could slam Flameborn down, staining the halls with the blood of the innocent once more, Siegfried had finally had enough. Roaring within, the sun with the bloodied hand attacked the essence of Soul Edge, Inferno, causing the vessel of the duality of man to be stunned, giving Raphael Sorel the opening he needed, using all of his strength to peer his rapier into the core of the Dark Blade, causing everything to fade to black for both of the combatants.
No! You planned this!
Though long it did not take for our hero to awake, noticing that not only was the monstrous arm gone, Soulcalibur had showed up out of nowhere, making him act without a moment of hesitation, grabbing hold of it and stab the crystal weapon into its counterpart. After the deed was done, even when he couldn't feel any power from the combined sword, the one Stark Knight made it his life goal in finding a way to truly seal the evil blade away for good. Throwing his nightmarish armor to the side, he started his new adventure not to find power, but knowledge. During his travels to find such knowledge, the 23-year-old could still feel the dark monster whisper within him, his hand even shuddering in pain, as if something was crying out for release. But that was not the worst for our redemption-seeking hero, because he met several people in his way who were looking for something themselves. Revenge on the Azure Knight. Guilt is his burden, but he couldn't allow himself to die yet, and what cemented his resolution to continue on was when the rumor was heard that Nightmare had resurfaced. Yes, the armor that he had forsaken had come to life. The host? Soul Edge personalized. Inferno. Siegfried was quick to understand that they would meet face to face sooner or later, so he went to a secluded area where no one would be harmed during their awesome fight. However, before a winner could be decided, the man behind Inferno's resurrection arrived to achieve his master plan for unlimited power. The Time Wizard Salamel Sasalamela Ding Dong. Though even when fused with the two weapons, it was not enough to defeat the two walls of power, and after Salame's defeat, Siegfried and Nightmare took up their respective weapons and slammed Soul Edge and Soulcalibur together, creating a shockwave so large that the Azure Knight vanished and our hero ended up bleeding out on the floor. As he looked up to the night sky, the young man felt sadness and rage as he was unable to destroy the damned blade, believing that he had not only failed at redeeming himself as a human being, but also as a son. He would not find true peace. But then, the blue weapon next to him lit up, encasing the dying man in its crystals, saving him from death as it chose him as its champion. Standing up, the young man took the holy sword in his hand and walked off to the cursed city of Ostramsburg, the place where he lost his innocence, and the home where the nightmare began, knowing that Inferno was there to repair Soul Edge to its full power. Climbing the Tower of Remembrance, he stood before the Deceiver, the fiery spirit that had once promised him the return of Frederick, who had only given him pain and death. This time there will be no interruptions. This time our hero fights what he believes in. This time it would be the end.
Let's do this! My unforgivable past!
It was done. The Blade of Suffering destroyed, and its wielder, its personification, gone with it. This of course doesn't mean that all of our protagonist's sins have been forgiven, and we can see this in his actions later. Returning to his home, he greeted his mother, whom he had not seen before the death of his father, and he was quick in starting up the group Schwarzwind again, this time having them focus on protecting the people from the still lingering followers of Soul Edge, as his true redemption is not dying for what he believes in, but living on, protecting those who need a hero.
It doesn't matter. I will live on. To live, that is my redemption.
Siegfried Schtauffen grew up with a family he loved and cared for, looking up to his heroic father, wishing to follow in his footsteps, only for him to become what Frederick fought against in the first place. His mind broken, he stood alone in the belief that there could be no rest without revenge against the cruel world, wishing to consume it in his madness. But the moment of the souls clashed against his, allowing him to regain what was once shattered. He made up his mind to rectify his mistakes, living on to make sure it won't happen again. And while he understands that the future may bring the return of the destined Blade of Nightmare, at least for the moment, he can sleep in peace, with the thought that maybe, just maybe, his father would be proud of who his son chose to be. And that is the mind of Siegfried. Hi there, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I have to be honest, was supposed to get it out before the release of Soulcalibur 6, but I'm currently moving, so I didn't really have the best time, etc. Either way, I do think it turned out good. If you like what you just saw, I would just ask for you to subscribe, as there will be more of In the Minds Ofs in the future, as well as game reviews. If you're unsure if you want to sub, I recommend watching some of my previous work. My Devil May Cry video on Nero is a doozy. Either way, I need to finish moving all of this furniture so that I can start working on my next analysis. But until then, I'm KingJ.Grim, or the guy who you can follow on social media, link in the description below, whatever you prefer, and I'll see you guys next time.